I'm Bambi Francisco with Vader TV, the network for innovators. Well, under the helm of Richard Jalichandra, Technorati has evolved from its roots as a blog search engine. Recently, Technorati bought Blogcritics, its first acquisition to get Technorati into the content game. And joining me to talk about Technorati is Richard Jalichandra. Richard, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having.
So congratulations on the Blogcritics deal. Was that $1 million or a little bit more? How much did you pay for that company?
Oh, I never kiss and tell.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very happy about the deal.
Okay. Well, with this acquisition, your first content acquisition, you're entering the content game, and if you're like Google, it's not really consistent with being a search engine. So you're sort of going from a Google philosophy to a Yahoo philosophy. So why get into the content game?
Well, I think first understand that Blogcritics was one of the earliest partners that we had in Technorati Media. I think they were either the first or second site to sign up when we were kind of in alpha, forming the ad network back in, God, I want to say they joined maybe in March,
okay.
And we announced the network in June. And I think they have a very similar mission to us. Technorati has always been about helping bloggers and people who read blogs. And Blogcritics is much the same. They help bloggers get a bigger platform to express themselves, and they help people who read blogs find great stuff all in one place in a nice, neat, clean environment.
But you are getting into the content game with this.
Well, we already are in the content business, if you think about it.
Content creation business.
Well, that's actually, Blogcritics doesn't create any content. There's a community of about 2,300 bloggers who have contributed about 73,000 articles into kind of a blog content platform. Now the proprietors of the site contribute to that, but really they use the platform just the same way as any of those thousands of bloggers do.
But it will be part of your job to keep them incentivized to keep blogging and writing and creating that content.
Well, the Blogcritics team will probably do a pretty good job at that.
So what are your other, so are you going to be looking for other content sites to acquire?
Right now, we don't have any plans to do so. We really thought that this was a good opportunity to get ourselves closer to bloggers. As I said, if you go back to that mission of, we've always been about helping bloggers succeed. There's a number of ways that we do that. Primary way of being, helping people find, blogs.
Sure.
Most blogs have an audience of one, and what we're trying to do is help people find new, great blogs and whatnot. So Blogcritics does the same thing. They just do it a different way. We do it algorithmically, they do it editorially.
Now, are you going to, now that you have Blogcritics, are you going to be giving them preferential treatment, in terms of the results? So you
I think that's a great question, and the answer is absolutely no. What we will do is always be transparent to what is created algorithmically versus editorially. I think that's the real key to any kind of environment like that. You have to be absolutely transparent. You have to label everything. And we're going to make a very public commitment that the algorithm is never going to get changed to favor anybody's content, our own or anybody else's. You can't pay to get paid inclusion or to get your content higher in the results.
Why not?
It just is something we decided not to do. The ethics of search and natural search is that you have an algorithm, and everybody has to play, on that same level playing field.
Okay. Now you talked a lot about or you actually said that you wanted to help bloggers. How are you actually helping bloggers, the relevant bloggers, be found? And I was reading up about some, I think on Read Write Web, kind of complaining that you have made it difficult to find the blogs with authority. Are you doing anything to address that?
We're still a startup. We're a 38 person startup. So, there's a lot of kinks to get worked out. We don't have, 20,000 employees like Google to make sure everything works exactly the way it's supposed to. But we're doing our best, and it has gotten better over time. And in fact, being able to find people via authority ranking is one of our trademarks.
Right.
That's one of the things that people do come to us for. As I said, you can always pick an example where we probably didn't do it as well as we should have. But for the most part, we do. And if you get back to the earlier question of what do we actually do help bloggers. In a couple of weeks, we're going to launch the 2008 State of the Blogosphere. And one of the things that we found in the questionnaire of several, well, I think it was about 1,300 bloggers, we asked them what are all the different things they do to get traffic. What kinds of activities and tools and things that they use. The #1 response was registering and claiming their blog at Technorati. So that's how we help bloggers. 83% of the respondents said that was their #1 traffic driver.
Now, are you helping to generate ads for them? Is that one of the reasons why you've created this ad network? Or talk a little bit about why you decided to launch this ad network.
Sure. So today we're helping a small number of properties get advertising. Historically, we really didn't do that. We sold some ads on Technorati.com, didn't have a lot of the media experience or expertise on the team until quite recently. So that's a capability we've been building up, earlier this year through now. We launched Technorati Media in mid-June. We've signed up about 35, somewhere between 35 and 40 sites, I haven't checked this morning, that give us, in combination with Technorati.com, over 40 million unique visitors. So it's turned into, in very short order, about 2 months, a fairly large web entity. So now the whole key is to execute on the ad sales
Execute
side.
and get the ad sales,
Sure.
right. So what is your network value, the ad network value? You've got 40 million unique, so you've got strong reach and you can go out to advertisers, but you've got the federated medias, you got the Guerrilla Nations, they're sort of a broad-based ad networks, or then you've got the yard barkers and glams that are more vertically focused that theoretically could get you better CPMs because they understand the community. So where do you fit?
Well, let's step back for a second, maybe what I did the previous year and a half before I came to Technorati. I spent a year at Exponential Interactive, the parent company of Tribal Fusion, and then I also spent a number of months as an entrepreneur in residence at Battery Ventures. And in that 18 months, all I did was look at ad networks. I was doing corporate development for Exponential, and I had an ad network idea that I was working on with Battery. So all I did was look at ad networks from a corp dev perspective. And one of the themes that came out of that was that one of the big differentiators with ad networks today was data. A lot of the technology had kind of reached parity level where even if you had a technology advantage, somebody else was catching you or leapfrogging you. So the real big differentiator was the data that was being put into the various types of ad targeting technology.
Okay.
Another thing that I learned in looking at ad networks is some of the biggest, fastest growing ad networks were looking at search data for targeting. And of course, Technorati is the leading search engine in a category of the internet called the blogosphere. So I looked at Technorati as this very untapped asset. I didn't really even look at it so much as a blog search engine, so much as more data about the blogosphere than anybody else has.
What kind of data are you capturing that other sites are not capturing?
Sure. Well, there's a couple.
Or other ad networks aren't capturing?
Well, they don't have the ability to do it because they're not running a blog search engine. So, just I'll tell you what kind of data, but also say that I've also been called by a number of ad networks asking me for our data. And I always scratch my head and go, well, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
But the types of data, first and foremost, you have the index itself. Think of the index as a categorical taxonomy of the entire blogosphere. We have about 70 million live blogs in our index, 60 to 70 million, somewhere in there. Over 100 million blog records, but they're not all live and they're not all constantly updated. So first, the index. The second, we have one of the largest tag databases on the internet. Think of when people do blog posts, a lot of them tag what the article is about. They might put anywhere from 1 to 5 tags on it. I think we have over 30 million distinct tags, and you can almost think of those as contextually targeted keywords. Another really key piece of data is we have the entire link graph. of the blogosphere, which leads to the Technorati Authority ranking, which is our equivalent of Google PageRank. It's how we rank blogs. But you can do a lot with that. And those are really the main types of data. We also have a very extensive widget footprint that we really haven't done anything with as well.
Okay, in our next interview, we're going to talk about what you actually do with that data to help advertisers and, of course, help the bloggers. And that's obviously what you believe is your competitive advantage. So we'll talk a little bit about your competitors. But just last question, what is your brand identity? It's a blog search engine, it's not a blog. What is Technorati today?
Technorati means some different things to different constituencies. To the hardcore blogger, we are a blog search engine. We're the place where you claim your blog, you get your authority ranking. But to 95% of the audience that visits our site, we're just the place where you find blogs.
Okay.
So readers.
The place to find blogs.
Yes.
Okay, with that, you're going to join me for another conversation, another interview to talk about the business model, enhancements to the platform, and more about the competition or the competitive landscape. So thanks very much, Richard, for sticking around.
Right.
I've been speaking with Richard Jalichandra. He's the CEO of Technorati. I'm Bambi Francisco.